After having opposite experiences in Week 1, a division showdown in the capital heats up for Week 2 as the Cowboys hit the road to face Washington. Dak Prescott comes off a perfect passer rating.
Prescott will be questioning his ability to throw from the pocket after this.
As the boy genius from Boise shines in his debut.
I feel like it was a good start to the season, and hopefully we can kind of build on this and continue to, pull some different things out.
Last season, a controversial ending at FedEx Field broke the hearts of Cowboys fans and players alike.
For Dallas, devastating.
These historic rivals are ready once again to face off in the humid grounds of Landover, Maryland. Let's get ready now on Pregame Live.
The Dallas Cowboys pregame show, live from the Star in Frisco, is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. Academy, the official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' film and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
What a great day it is for Cowboys pregame live here at the Star. This is the first official watch party presented by AT&T. Brian brought us, Lindsay Draper, a ton of Cowboys fans behind us. You guys here? Got anything? Yeah? They've been here since like 8 a.m. this morning. This is going to be a blast. Cowboys-Redskins Week 2, Brian, and I know you got the key to the game in your hands. Do we?
Oh, you know
here?
me.
Or we can do the big reveal here.
How about the key of the game right there?
Ezekiel Elliott on the road. Anybody out there happy that Ezekiel Elliott is back? He is back $90 million later. All right, Brian, let's get into this. We're excited today for the Cowboys and the watch party and the postgame show. It'll all be here at the Star if you guys want to come join us. But let's get right into this. Dak Prescott, Brian, building off an incredible Week 1. First of all, is this repeatable? We're going to see this week after week?
Well, with the weapons that you have, yes, it's capable of having that type of a game. But you want to play the New York Giants every single week. This will be a different defense, though. This will be a different defense for them from the pass rush aspect. Little banged up, though, in the front of their defensive line. Secondary, a little banged up, too. But, yeah, with all the weapons that they do have, very capable of playing like this this week. Incredible week.
NFC Offensive Player of the Week for Dak Prescott. And he gave tribute or credit to Kellen Moore all week long, Brian, and it kind of, I'm starting to get the feel that the players know a little bit more about this than we do. Like, that was just a taste of what we're going to see this season.
Yeah, you mean young Bill Walsh, the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys? Yeah, no, Kellen Moore did a really nice job of taking, Linz, we had seen him in training camp and the OTAs, and use the weapons and try and create space. And that's what he was able to do. He took advantage of the Giants secondary, the lack of the Giants pass rush, and he was able to get his weapons involved in the game. And that's really what this is all about as an offensive coordinator. You've got to find ways to help your quarterback, use your weapons, and use that offensive line as a weapon as well.
Saw a tweet from ESPN's Ed Werder this morning talking to Ezekiel Elliott on the field pregame and said, hey, how many carries we expect in this week? More than last week? He goes, what does it matter? We air it out now anyways. Yeah. So I think the offense is excited because they know it's hard for teams to plan for them. This is all brand new, and there's a lot of talent out there.
Well, there's a lot of talent, and then there's the unknown of Kellen Moore, and that's the great thing that's going on with the offense right now is that they have Kellen Moore, they have the unknown, they have the weapons, and he's getting them all involved.
All right, let's hear more from Dak Prescott and Kellen Moore as they have been planning all week long to attack the Redskins.
We talk about aggressively taking what they give us, and I think that was kind of his mentality. He was really decisive, very convicted in what he was doing, took charge of it.
Definitely wasn't a perfect day. I don't ever honestly even look at the rating. There's a lot of other things I guess I can say I look at. Timing, was I in the right spot? Were my eyes in the right spot? What was the anticipation? Things of that matter that a rating doesn't justify. So you move forward. Simple as that. You move forward, you get back to what you know, get back to the work in the dirt, as they say. Just getting back to practice, doing all the things that you've done and finding a way to get better from that. You can't sit back and hang your hat on something like that or hang your hat on one game. It was a good performance for us to go out there and do that in the passing game and just obviously win that game the way we did. But it's about turning the page, and I definitely say myself and this team's done that.
Tostitos Championship Plaza, Brian, is full of people. Let's go down to Danny Sarek and check in, who is with a ton of Cowboys fans. Danny, where are you at?
Lindsay, this is the place to be to watch the Cowboys game today. Cowboys fans have already been storming in, forming a crowd, making sure they get the best view because the game is going to be played here at the Star. There is an AT&T booth to get your photo. There's a Miller Lite station so you can have refreshments in this heat. And there's giveaways. There's a live DJ, inflatables, lots of family fun activities. So if you are watching this at home, you need to come on out because the watch party is the place to be.
Thanks, Danny. We will catch up with you later on. Know you got some good stuff you want to share about Michael Gallup and the receivers. Brian, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm afraid we have some more Inactives news and a surprise player who is up for the first time this week wearing a Cowboys uniform. All that and more right here from the Watch Party at Ford Center. Don't do your hands down. Back here on Pregame Live. Fans are filing in here at the Tostitos Championship Plaza. We got the Fatheads again. I know that was a huge hit last year, Brian, when we did the Rams game out here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nice little souvenir to take home. Let's head back out into the crowd and catch up with Danny Sarek. What you got, Danny?
Lindsay, against the Giants, the Cowboys offense was a dominant team. Quarterback Dak Prescott threw for more than 400 yards, connecting with all of his wide receivers, including Michael Gallup, someone he struggled to connect with in the 2018 season. Gallup caught all 7 targets for a 158-yard game. In 2018, Gallup only had one game with more than 100 yards, the divisional round against the Rams. Gallup says him and Prescott were working on their chemistry throughout the offseason and that it was important for them to connect early in the season.
Mercy! 62 from Prescott to Gallup.
That's big to get a jump on it right now because I know last year it took us a whole long time to, get that connection down. So getting on it, in the first game like that, that just really helps us going in, towards the end of the season.
Wide receivers Amari Cooper and Randall Cobb were also clicking with Prescott against the Giants. Cooper connected with Prescott for a 21-yard touchdown and Cobb a 25-yard touchdown. Cooper says this Cowboys offense makes it difficult for defenses to defend.
I would just say, you know, we have playmakers all across the board. I mean, we can run first, we can pass first. It really doesn't matter. I think we can get the job done.
You got one. I had to give him one.
I think it's like the defense's worst nightmare when everybody is making plays because, you know, how can you game plan against that? How can you make adjustments? What are you going to do?
We going too fast. Plus, we all catching the ball. What they going to do?
Despite what may seem like an almost perfect game offensively, Cobb says it's important to always find ways to improve.
There's a lot of things that we could have done better, and you know, that's the focus, is to get better and to be better in those situations this week. One game isn't going to get us to where we want to go. We have a lot of football left in this season, and we have to be consistent throughout the season. The most important thing for us is to continue to feed off each other and make plays whenever we get opportunities.
You definitely shouldn't be getting cocky. It's only game one. We won the first game last year, and then we went on a losing streak, so you know, it definitely shouldn't be getting cocky.
Gallup says every wide receiver on this team is explosive, and that with Cooper on the opposite side of the field from him, teams should not sleep on him anymore. Someone who did not sleep on Gallup against the Giants was his mom, Jenny. Gallup says after the game, his mom texted him saying she watched highlights and Googled his stats and texted him saying, wow, 158 yards, beautiful catches, wahoo. Gallup says with his mom, it's always beautiful catches. Brian, how can Gallup have more beautiful catches against the Redskins defense today?
Yeah, I think, Danny, you know, with Michael Gallup, you're looking at a situation where I think that you have Amari Cooper as 1A, and he's now become 1B. I really do. I think that teams are going to have to be very mindful of him, not only with the vertical routes, Linz and Danny, but they've got to be mindful of the stuff that comes underneath, the slants, the digs, those inside routes where he can catch the ball and go. So, you know, the Redskins are a little bit of a problem right now, though. They've got a rookie playing as the nickel corner, and so it's not as bad as what the Giants had out there last week, but still, they could take advantage. If they get the protection like they had last week against the Giants, those plays could be made down the field, and Michael Gallup could be a big, big part of that.
Great stuff, Danny. We'll check in with you soon, but for now, Brian, let's take a look at the inactives for this week. And I know the big question on here is what is the deal with Taco Charlton? So I'm just going to ask you right off the top here.
Yeah, it's again, Taco did not practice as much. He was not involved with the ones or the twos when they were going through the rotation, so it was very clear that he was not going to be an active guy this week. So, yeah, still a lot going on. The coaches feel very comfortable about playing Joe Jackson and also, though, you know, with Kerry Hyder as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, if they don't think that Taco can give them what they need, then they're going to go with those other guys, and they've done that now through 2 weeks.
Tristan Hill inactive again as well, Brian, but he did travel with the team. What are they trying to do with him?
Well, I think they're trying to get him acclimated to life in the National Football League. And I was talking to some people, worked very hard this week. He didn't want to be inactive, but he also understands that they're in a situation where they've got some veteran guys, and he needs to kind of take his time. You know, if they didn't have Tyrone Crawford available to play as a defensive tackle, then I think we would see Tristan Hill active. But the fact that they're dressing these defensive ends over defensive tackles tells you all you need to know.
Also to note, Tavon Austin out, so Cedric Wilson is up. Look for him out there. I know Brian's a big fan of him as a receiver. We are going to take another break here, but when we come back, we are going to discuss the defense. Started slow in week 1, but did DeMarcus Lawrence and Byron Jones kind of find their legs last week? I'll ask Brian that and more next. at Tostitos Championship Plaza at Ford Center as the watch party continues here, and fans are filing in, Brian. And I know a big question this week has been, will the defense be able to pick it up from week 1 to week 2? It just seemed like they were maybe a step behind a little bit.
Well, they need to figure out how to control the run a little bit better, and they're not going to play a better back than they did with Saquon Barkley last week, so that will be a difficult, always when you have to face the Giants. But I think with Adrian Peterson, they've got to play better with the gap control, the run defense, the linebacker. Leighton Vander Esch had a nice game last week with 9 tackles, but Jalen Smith needs to get more involved. Sean Lee needs to get more involved. Now, Sean Lee's a little bit different because they play so much nickel package stuff. And so, but yeah, that defensive line has got to figure out a way to extend their arms, extend their hands, control blocks, and get off blocks, because if they don't, the one way the Cowboys can lose this game today is if Adrian Peterson has success and Jay Gruden tries to shorten this game. I think that's the biggest issue for the Cowboys today.
Let's hear from Jalen Smith, Brian, on his plan for today against the Redskins.
Yeah, I mean, again, Hall of Fame guy, a guy who's been doing it for, over a decade. So it's a blessing to be able to go up against a guy like him. He's always motivated and wants to do great anytime he steps on the field. So we have to prepare the right way. AP, they call him AD all day, for a reason. And he's always going to come with tenacity. So we have to be able to match it and, exceed their expectations.
Last week for Adrian Peterson, first healthy scratch of his career, but here are his numbers, Brian, against the Cowboys. He's got to have a little chip on his shoulder this week, right?
He does, and he's going to try and show that Jay Gruden and this coaching staff that it was not the right thing to make him inactive, that they should have gone with him and Geis. But now that Geis is on injured reserve, it is going to be Adrian Peterson again, and you're going to get a fresh Adrian Peterson today, and that is a difficult thing to deal with.
Yeah, and we're reminding you, noon Central kickoff on Fox today. We've got our whole crew, DallasCowboys.com, out at FedEx Field, and we're going to check in with them. And Stephen Jones is going to give us his thoughts on all this and more right after this. Welcome back to Dallas Cowboys Pre-Game Live. We are at Ford Center at the Star, and things are heating up figuratively and literally, Brian. I want to turn around and ask you guys, we thinking a win today? Redskins, Cowboys, 2-0 in the division. How huge would that be?
Oh, that's huge because, again, on the other end, Washington's looking at it as they could be 0-2, and nobody wants to start the division that way. So, yeah, big matchup today.
Big matchup today. Let's head out to FedEx Field and check in with our friends Rob Phillips and Nick Eatman of DallasCowboys.com. What is up, guys?
Thanks, Lindsay, and greetings from FedEx Field. This is Frisco, Texas weather right here. Hot, sunny, just like home. And Nick,
Cowboy fans.
And a lot of Cowboys fans here. And you know what, Nick? We always come up here expecting a close game. And 5 of the 8 games Jason Garrett has led this team into here, decided by 4 points or less. Always close up here, usually.
It's always close. It doesn't matter who's the better team. We've seen the Cowboys, when they weren't as good, steal a win here. We've seen it the other way around. You know, I think, Rob, the important thing for today is the Cowboys need to kind of determine what type of team they want to have, what kind of season you really want to be in. I know it sounds weird with week 2, but you can set the tone with a big win here today, kind of make a statement on what they want to do with this season. They're better than the Redskins. That doesn't really matter. You got to go out and show it, and I think that it's important for them to do that and go 2-0.
All right, player to watch for you today against Washington.
I'm going to go Antoine Woods. They got to stop the run. They didn't do a great job before. Antoine, big boy in there. Adrian Peterson be ready to go. I want to see how they stop the run. Antoine Woods for me. What about you? Last week, you said Michael Gallup.
I'm trying to keep up. Yeah.
He was okay.
He was more than okay. I'm trying to keep a hot streak going here. I'm going to go with Jason Witten.
All right.
Now, the last time Witten had back-to-back games with a touchdown, it was against the Giants and Washington in 2017. Now, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of weapons on this Cowboys offense, but if it's a grinded-out game, and I think the Washington Redskins know defensively up front, they've got to be better and disrupt Dak. Maybe some of that possession-type stuff from Witten is going to come in handy here today.
He goes with the Hall of Famer to keep the hot streak going.
Yeah, can't hurt there. We'll see what happens. That's the early word from FedEx Field. Back to Lindsay and the crew.
Great stuff from FedEx Field. Thank you, folks. Enjoy the game. Brian and I will be here at the Star continuing things. And now it is time for Brian's key matchups of the game. Your first one, Connor Williams and Daron Payne. Tell me about Connor Williams' development, Brian.
Yeah, I tell you, Connor Williams is better equipped now to handle a guy like Daron Payne. You know, Connor wasn't strong enough last year. You know, he got bullied a little bit in this game. Jonathan Allen not playing will also help him not have to deal with that type of player. But Daron Payne has that ability, Linz, to walk you back into the pocket. And the one thing that we saw last week in the Giants game was that Dak Prescott had the ability to stand in the middle of the pocket and make throws all day. So that's where the key is for the Cowboys right there. They just can't allow Daron Payne to walk Connor Williams back into the backfield, into his lap, and affect the way this game, especially the passing game. But you also got to be concerned about the running game because he's a hard guy to move. And when you get guys that are hard to move, that makes makes Ezekiel Elliott's job difficult because he's looking for the gap. He's looking for the crease. And that's how, when he sees that with shoulders turned, that's where he hits it. So it's going to be on Connor Williams today to kind of figure those things out.
This being Dak Prescott's 4th season, was last week against the Giants one of the cleanest pockets you've seen for him?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. You know, you as a quarterback, you dream about protection like that. But, again, the Redskins will be a little different in this matchup because of Ryan Kerrigan and because of Montez Sweat and then also Payne in the middle.
All right, Brian, your next matchup. I know this is a guy that we are huge fans of, Jordan Lewis and Trey Quinn. Jordan Lewis, you know, Brian, he doesn't have the size of the rest of the DBs on this team that Chris Rashard likes, but you can't help but put him in there.
No, you can't help to put him in there. And what we need to kind of figure out, too, here, Linz, is that with Byron Jones likely going to start at right corner, does that kick Anthony Brown inside? So, yeah, I think that they'll mix some things up on Trey Quinn. I think that we'll see Jordan Lewis playing some dime stuff. You know, I think that, you know, when him having to cover, you know, maybe the tight end a little bit, maybe cover a back, you know, he's going to be a guy that, again, Jordan Lewis, you're absolutely right about him. He might be short in stature, but he's got the biggest heart of all those defensive backs. He's so competitive. It bothers him to get beat. He's on point. He's a smart player. A lot of things to like. And Trey Quinn is a good player for the Redskins, a very similar type of player when you talk about slot players, those guys that are shifty, quick. Went to school here locally at SMU. You know, he's a guy that's got sure hands. When they want to go, when Case Keenum wants to go to throw the ball to try and get a first down, he's going to throw it in the direction of Quinn. So gotta get guys on him, gotta take care of him, can't allow him to make big plays.
And also a notable inactive for the Redskins, Jordan Reed being out. I mean, that's huge for the Cowboys. He's a big-time Cowboy killer.
Yeah, he is a big-time Cowboy killer. And so in the secondary, though, that's something, again, take that out of the mix. Now you're going to have to deal with Quinn. They've got some guys that can play. This Terry McLaurin is another guy, the rookie from Ohio State, is a vertical player. I mean, you talk about speed. The Cowboys watching tape understand how fast he can run.
Great stuff, Brian, on the matchups. We will take a final break here for television. Don't worry, guys. We're not going anywhere. We got a lot of Cowboys to talk. We'll be back right after this.
The Dallas Cowboys pregame show, live from the Star in Frisco, was brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. SWBC Mortgage, financial solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit swbc.com. And by the Dallas Cowboys Football Club. Want to tour AT&T Stadium? For more information, call 817-892-TOUR or visit dallascowboys.com/tours.
Brian Broaddus, last few seconds of our portion on television. What is your key to a Cowboys win today?
It's got to be stopping the run. I think that the Redskins are going to try and shorten this game and give the Cowboys less possessions. That means stopping Adrian Peterson. We talked about it all week. Fill gaps, get to the ball, tackle right there. Don't let the Redskins have their way running that football.
Brian Broaddus, Lindsay Draper, we are cutting off on TV, but if you're online, don't go anywhere because the watch party continues here from Ford Center at the Star. Pregame Live continuing here, streaming on all of our platforms, Connected TV. Kickoff at noon Central at FedEx Field on Fox. All right, the TV portion is off. We're just on the internet now. I need you guys to get wild, please. With all the energy that you do have, I know it's hot, I know it's Texas, but we live here. We're used to this, okay? Let's go back out and check on our girl, Danny Sarek, who has more, Brian, on the offensive line and what they can do this week. Danny?
Lindsay, center Travis Frederick missed all of the 2018 season after being diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, a condition where the immune system attacks the nerves. Frederick made a comeback and is now on the active roster and says after his first football game in a year last Sunday against the Giants, he felt good. However, he still sees room for improvement.
That's the goal in a normal season too. I hate to continue to use the word normal, but generally that's how things work. You're never your best in week one. You can ask anyone in the history of the NFL, and you're going to be hard pressed to find somebody that say that they're their best in week one. So you just continue to try and improve and focus on another thing each week, trying to get better and trying to improve on the base that you lay. But I feel like it was a good base that was laid.
The All-Pro, four-time Pro Bowler says that the offensive line did a decent job against the Giants, keeping the pocket clean for quarterback Dak Prescott. He says they need to work more on communication and avoid being broken down by defenses because every week their opponent is just going to keep getting better throughout the season. Lindsay?
Thanks, Danny. Great stuff on Travis Frederick. And I think, Brian, for us who live here at the Star, just to be able to see him to walk the way he used to and do the things and be back in football is just a huge accomplishment. But it's obvious on the field how much Travis Frederick means.
Oh, you saw an example of that last week when you watched the front of that pocket and how clean it was for Dak Prescott. And, in Danny's package, and Travis was talking about that, his communication with the guys, with Connor Williams, with Zach Martin and those guys, and his ability to identify the fronts and help Dak Prescott, get the blocks right. And then, you got Tony Pollard back there who's a rookie. So if you have a veteran center who's able to convey the message from the front, what they're going to do, and then get the back on the same page, that just helps them get the ball out to all those weapons.
Let's go back out now to FedEx Field and check in again with Rob Phillips and Nick Eatman of DallasCowboys.com.
Thanks again, Lindsay, and we are here with Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. And lovely Washington, Landover, Maryland. Stephen, you love coming here. A lot of Cowboy fans, always some great games. Talk about the importance of saying we got to build off this first win, keep it rolling here with some momentum in week 2.
I thought Jason and his staff did a great job of getting that message across. And, hey, that's one game. We played really well. That's what you prefer, but and that's what you got to have. But there's no question they went right back to work. I'm not so sure we hadn't had one of our better weeks of practices in a while. So I think the players are totally bought into it. Obviously, great tradition with this game up here in Washington, and big NFC East game. All the records are thrown out. Quality of teams are thrown out. Anytime you play a big NFC East game, especially the Redskins.
What does a great week of practice look like? I mean, is it different than others? How is it different?
I just think it's crisp. The players are edgy. They execute both offensively and defensively. And, and the main thing is just crisp, edgy, and execute.
You mentioned how well you guys played in the opener, and that's with a lot of your key guys on pitch counts, Zeke, DeMarcus Lawrence, Byron Jones. What do you expect from those guys in this game? You think they're closer to a normal workload?
I think they're closer, no question, and they'll get more. All the above will get more, so fired up about seeing that happen. See Zeke get some more carries and more touches, and same thing goes for the rest of the team. But, the good news is we're a healthy football team right now, and we're excited about that, and we'll just see what today brings.
As a play caller, Kellen Moore has obviously got another challenge here today. There's always that balance of doing what you do best and also doing what they don't think you're going to do. How do you think he responds here after a great performance in week 1?
Well, I just think you nailed it, Nick. I mean, he's got to, Kellen's got to continue to bring these wrinkles to the offense. This is a really good defensive football team we're against, so he's got to step up and do the same thing he did last week, be creative. And I know they've done a lot of tape work on these guys, and let's utilize these offensive weapons we have, whether it's the receivers, the tight ends, or the running backs, and, make some big plays.
Tristan Hill, Taco Charlton inactive for the second straight week. Specifically on Tristan, your second-round pick. I know you guys like his talent a lot. How do you think he's responding to this development early in his career?
Well, I think he understands now what inactive is, and I think I read where he didn't. And but he's coming, and Rod has his way of bringing guys along. He's very pleased with the progress Tristan's making, and I think it's just a matter of time before we see him.
All right. Well, Stephen, we appreciate you coming by. Yeah, we're from Texas, but it's still pretty hot down here. So
it feels like Dallas today.
Yes, it does.
All right. Thanks for stopping by. That's Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. We'll throw it back to you guys.
Thank you, Nick, Rob, and Steven. Hey, Cowboys are used to this heat. No problem for them if it's hot up there. Brian, can you talk to me about why Chris Rashard is able to do the things that he's able to do with these defensive backs? I thought it was interesting now this week how Rod Marinelli sent him out to speak with the media. It's just like Marinelli's giving him all the leeway that he needs.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I think if you talk about development, not only of your players, but development of your coaches, and good for Rod Marinelli to step up and say, hey, Chris Rashard, you deserve the opportunity to go out there and talk about this defense. And, his fingerprints are all over it. If you look at what they've done, just look at what he's done with Byron Jones. Byron Jones will admit that his career basically was
saved his career.
Yeah, saved his career. So, you see that. You see a coach that takes that much pride in wanting to work with players and develop players. You just buy in totally with that.
Let's hear more from Chris Rashard earlier this week on the development of his players and where we are going into the Redskins game.
I said we get out and we execute, and we all do our job to the best of our ability. We should be able to eliminate or at least minimize those. And so, again, we come in, we correct it, and we got to head back out Sunday and make sure we get the job done.
When it comes to stopping the run, Coach, does week 1 correlate to the playoff loss?
No, it doesn't. Like I say, because last year has nothing to do with this year. Just like week 1 has nothing to do with week 2. Again, it's a complete different set of challenges, a whole other football team. And obviously the only thing that we control is our discipline and our execution. And that's the only thing that we're focused on.
I will have having Byron and Tyrone and DeMarcus getting more snaps helping toward that end.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Again, they're some of our best players. Obviously, again, they missed all of, if not a lot of camp. And it's what camp is for. It's what the preseason games are for, is to make sure that we get out there, we get the rust off. So again, they're going to all be in their second week, and there's no difference. Excuse me, there's no doubt they are difference makers for us.
Will Byron move back to the starting lineup this week?
I'm not sure. That's it. We'll have to take a look and see about that.
Watch the film?
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch the tape and come back and critique it.
Of course, you don't want to see that big run from Saquon early, but what did you see from Cheeto chasing him down towards the end of the play?
That he might actually be the fastest DB on the team. So it's like we.
2017.
I mean, there it is, you know. So it's like we love to have arguments about who's actually the fastest on the team. So I don't know, it may be empirical evidence right there for us all.
What did you tell him reviewing that film?
No, it was just great effort, and that's what it takes. And it just shows the level of care, and it's an awesome level of responsibility that we all have to one another. Like I said, some things may happen, some things happen that we don't want to happen, but somebody has to make sure they're there to protect us. So again, we're all in it together. If something breaks, something happens, somebody has to get the guy down, give us another chance.
It's interesting, Brian, hearing Chris Rashard and the way you were talking, well, where is Jordan Lewis going to fit earlier? It's a good problem to have when you have so many strong defensive backs.
Yeah, give Chris Rashard a lot of credit. You know, he didn't have to come in here and like Jordan Lewis. It's not his prototypical type of cornerback, a shorter corner, but long-armed guy. But he's accepted him, and he's put him in positions to make plays. And I think that's with this whole secondary. You talk about him and Anthony Brown and Byron Jones and Cheeto. You know, that play that Cheeto made that he was talking about running down Saquon Barkley from all the way across the field, that's just effort. That's just pride. Those are all the things that you get from Chris Rashard and you get from Rod Marinelli as well.
That's something to keep your eye on if you're a huge Cowboys fan, is just the bond that Rashard has built individually with all these young defensive backs. It's pretty incredible. Brian, tell me your key to a Cowboys win as we wrap up Pregame Live here.
Well, we talked about having to stop the run, and I think that's the one way that they could lose the game if they don't. But I think offensively, they got to continue to make those chunk plays. You know, keep the Redskins off balance. Possessions could be short in this game, so every opportunity you get a chance to score, go score. They were very efficient in the red zone last week, excuse me. They were very efficient on goal-to-goal situations. When you get down in that area, find ways to get points, not just field goals, but those chunk plays help you get in position to score. But on the other end, though, if they're going to lose this game, it's because they didn't play run defense well enough, though. And the Redskins take advantage of that, shorten this game, and then drive the ball and get points from that.
Thank you, fans, all for coming out to hang out with us. Enjoy the game for the free watch party here at AT&T Stadium, presented by AT&T. Brian Broaddus, give him a huge round of applause. He is the best. I love working with Brian, and we will be back out here immediately following the game today for all your post-game coverage right here at Ford Center.